One thing that's true for all moms, we have a lot of stories to tell. Some are silly, some are gross, some bring us to tears. With each story that's shared, another mom feels a little less alone. So join us as we laugh, learn, and grow together. It's the iMom Podcast. Welcome to this week's episode of the iMom Podcast. Susan, Megan, Chloe, and Abby, we're here with you once again. The school year is starting up for some of our audience, and for others, you might still be enjoying the summer, or maybe you're about to shop for some school supplies. We do a lot of preparing for our kids, clothes, supplies. Maybe we give them a pep talk that it's going to be a great year. But what about for ourselves? How do moms get our own mindset for what we need to be for our kids and for ourselves for the school year? The way that we approach the year can have big impacts on our kids' experience and the dynamic around our house. So in this episode today, we're going to talk about the ABCs that a mom needs to know to have a great school year. So the first one, the ABCs, the A is accept, as in accept your limitations. Susan, you have talked many times about being involved in school, being the team mom or whatever, you're homeschooling a child for a year. With 5 kids, how do you possibly accept your limitations? How do you know if you've reached your limit?
So I would say this. First, you have to know yourself and what you're good at. We have this test called the Mom I Am. Know what kind of mom you are so you know where you can fit in a way that is natural to you. So here's an example.
And it's not like a weird, like you're a shark.
No. The Mom I Am.
It's like you have these character traits that you need to lean into and, that's the word I'm looking for.
Help those.
Yeah. And highlight and lean on other.
Right.
I think I'm jumping ahead of you, but.
No. Yeah, that's perfect. So I think one, the purpose of being involved is really to help, but also to get to know those parents of other kids that your kids are with. So, if you are, I will say, the powerful type mom in the Mom I Am, you're good at organizing, then volunteer to help organize, and you'll get to know the other moms that way. If you are the popular kind of fun mom, then host the team party or whatever it is, because you're good at throwing parties, and you'll get to know the moms that way. If you're the nurturing mom, the peaceful mom, then, get to know the kids on the team, sit on the bench with the other moms and talk to them and encourage them, and you will get to know them. It's all for the same purpose, but it's different ways. How do you know when you've maxed out your limitations? When you are in your sweet spot, whether you're the volunteer mom who runs things or the mom who sits on the bench and watches the practice, and you cannot be your gift, do your gift, enjoy your gift, then you're probably doing too much and you need to pull back. And then you may have to pull back on one child and not another. So again, assess your kids. Who do you need to get to know the parents of the most?
And sorry, one question on that, because I feel like as of right now, because my older one is in school and my younger one is not yet, all the friends I have made are his friends' parents for the most part, or that's all the people that I've gotten to know. I have other friends that aren't directly his friends, but I'm cool. I swear I'm not like only friends to my kids' friends, but like, I feel like I already know like this group of people due to my older child. And it's going to be weird to like start all over again and try to really get to know my second's friends' parents.
You don't start over and it shifts. So just know that you've opened the door, because some of those friends will have a child the age of Beck, So it just kind of opens the door, and you do with each child feel like your network is just growing of moms that but that's a beautiful thing, because you get to know schools, you get to know teachers. You always have someone to call. Oh, I remember her son had that teacher, even though her son is not the age of my oldest child. I can apply this. So it does open the door. It shifts.
I do like the idea of, accepting your limitations, and the Mom I Am quiz. Knowing who you are can also reveal to you what you're not. And that's okay. It's okay if you're not the party planner, or if you're not the perfect mom, or, the perfectionist mom. I shouldn't say perfect mom. You're not the perfectionist mom. It's okay. You don't have to try to be those things, because you know what you do bring to your children or to your friendships and things like that.
Yeah.
I think that's smart.
Sometimes sitting the bench mom is the best mom, because she gets to know all the other moms and their kids. And she's such an encouragement.
Wait, what are you sitting the bench mom? What is that?
I can't tell you, whether it's basketball or football or swimming, moms ride the bench a lot. watching your child. And so if that's all you can do, if you work and you can't volunteer and you can't do these other things, but you can watch your child on the bench and get to know the other parents, that's a great thing right there.
Yeah. Well, and to your point about being a working mom, I think I have totally overcommitted because I'm working full time. I have one in half a day preschool. Thankfully, he's going to full day next year, but I have the other one that's then going to be in half a day preschool. And I have volunteered to be homeroom mom for the past few years. And at the same time, I really want to get involved in my older son's new school because, you know, hopefully that's where all of our kids will be doing. So I want to help there and get involved and get to know their families and parents. But it's too much. And I'm also an extrovert, so I'm constantly planning other social stuff. And I want to have some hobbies so I don't feel like a loser. And so it's just like, you know, there's so many things that I really want to do and try to be a part of. And I am very much a go-getter and an extrovert. And so I like feel this need to do it. And I want to do it because I get joy and satisfaction out of it. But it's like I said, I've overcommitted and then I feel really burnt out. And I feel this pressure to do it because, like I said, I've done it in the past years. So I'm like, sure, I'll just go ahead and do it another year versus letting someone else step up to the plate and take it on and really do that. And it's hard if no one wants to do it. No one volunteers and someone's like, hey, since you did it last year, do you mind doing it again this year? I can't be like, no.
Yeah, but you've invested in the preschool already. You know the drill there because you've been homeroom mother every year. So pivot to the oldest child who's going to a new school and get to know that school at the same time.
I just feel bad then because I haven't done anything for my second child. This will be his first year in school and I've done nothing.
So you volunteer, you call the homeroom mother and you go, hey, I'm your right hand girl. Call me anytime because I've done this before. I know it's hard. And you watch. If Beck needs extra attention the next year, you may have to pivot back to that school.
And here's the thing that I like even makes me feel worse because I'm overcommitted is I volunteer to be homeroom mom. James, that doesn't require you to like actually be there in person. It's just a lot of coordinating behind the scenes. So then he'll be like, so-and-so's mom came on the field trip and so-and-so's mom came in and did this. And I'm like, oh, great. Well, I'm doing all this work for no reward.
Yeah. And that's why sometimes just being the mom who attends is okay too. Take a year off and say, I'm just going to attend everything this year.
Yeah. When you don't have the bandwidth to do all the things that you want to do, it can be hard to not beat yourself up. I wrote an article for iMom about how to still be involved with school when you're working. So, you know, some moms literally just can't be there during the day. They can't find the hour to get to school. They can't take the day off to chaperone. But they could maybe help the homeroom mom, kind of like what you just said, Susan. Shoot her an email on the side and say, I can't officially do this, but if you need somebody behind the scenes to fold construction paper one day or rally, you know, be the extra person that bugs people about chipping in money, like I can be that person for you. And I think that would also help her to do her job better.
Right.
For sure.
Another thing is at conference time, because this is usually like October, ask the teacher, hey, I am not homeroom mom this year. What can I do for you? And what can I do that you think my son would like? Where should I get involved? Like, where's the biggest win? I don't have a lot of time. Give me the biggest win.
Yeah. Or if you have gifts, you know, some people, I have a friend who's really good with numbers. She's an accountant but now she stays at home with the kids. So when she did work, she was an accountant and, so she volunteers to help with the school's budget and she goes in 4 times a year for the budget meetings. And that's how she gives and that's how she gets to know the school and gives back. And it's not the same as being like in the classroom for a party and getting to know the kids, but it's still doing something to feel like you're involved and active.
Well, and I think so we were new to the area and I really wanted to get to know people in the area. And so that's really why I did want to get involved with the school to really meet people. And I think that's where it's tough because I really do enjoy it. Like it's a personal enjoyment for me to get to talk to the parents and get to meet other people. So it's really, I think, a me problem because it's like, I don't want to give it up. So that's the other problem is like I'm overcommitted and I know it, but I'm not willing to let it go.
Well, maybe accepting your limitations means admitting that you have limitations at some point.
I know that we all work, but I will say this. When I didn't work, one of the best things you can do to really understand your child's school and just the teachers is substitute teach.
No thanks.
Do they still do that?
Yes, it is the best. Yes, in fact,
do your kids have substitute?
I'm going to
we
tell
have
you,
subs,
but that are parents. Not
no.
Now I think you have to be like a licensed.
Oh, no. Your cousin, Zachary, is a substitute teacher.
Oh.
Zachary, he's 22. My sister's
wow.
a
Poor
teacher
Zachary.
and her
Hope he's not
son.
listening.
So they just need an adult,
They need
a live
anyway.
adult.
They need bodies.
Warm
That's
body.
all they need. So it's really fascinating. I loved substitute teaching.
I didn't know.
I
I
didn't
thought
do
you-
it a lot, but
I thought you at least had to have some sort of like teaching.
oh no, I have a finance
certification.
degree. I had no
No, I
certification.
know back then, but I'm saying now.
Oh, that wasn't so long
I don't
ago.
know.
No, you don't. Trust me, Zachary doesn't even have a
Exactly.
college degree.
Exactly.
He doesn't even have a college degree.
We love
He's
you, Zachary.
substitute teaching.
Yeah.
We love you,
Yeah.
Zachary.
I also think a big benefit to accepting your limitations, and I'm not saying this like I've done it well, I'm just saying it as if this could probably benefit me, is if you're married, I think it kind of invites your husband into roles that he can play with school, especially, car line. For me in our stage, it's getting ready for daycare because daycare prep sneaks up on us. But, we've got our brother program, All Pro Dad. They have a once a month meeting for schools. So dads get to go to school with their kids once a month and they get to go over a character-based curriculum. They have a really cool moment where they go around the auditorium or lunchroom, depending on where they meet. And the kid and the dad stands up. The dad gets to say one thing they're proud of their kid that they did this month. It's really, really cool. And, something that we see is a lot of dads don't get involved in their kids' education because they don't know where they fit. Like that homeroom mom role, bringing stuff in for the class, things like that. It's typically something that falls on the mom. But with the All Pro Dad Chapters program, it kind of gives dads that role of, we need you in school and your kid thrives when you are involved in education.
And it's only 1 hour a month, which is great. You can usually get a little, approval from your boss to be a little bit late if your child's school starts later than work.
So it's allprodad.com/chapters to get more on that. And I'll put a link in the show notes too. The ABCs of a good school year. So A is accepting your limitations. B is be available. So this might sound like the opposite of accepting your limitations, but being available to your kids is really about being present to them, being attentive to what they are experiencing throughout the year.
Yeah. And I think this is where a mom has to become a little bit of a chameleon, because depending on what your child needs, you need to give attention differently. And all attention takes time, no matter what you're doing. So kind of knowing, and then being careful that you don't, ignore that child that doesn't appear to need attention because the squeaky wheel usually gets all the attention.
Yeah, that's the experience I'm having for sure. I think sometimes we, complain about life being hectic or all the places that we're being pulled and that we're not able to do the things that we want to do. But I think there's just like we forget. It's easy to forget that this is just a season because the days feel really, really long, but it does go by fast. And there's going to be a time in life when you're not going to have the kid asking you to help with homework, or you're not going to have to check on grades. You're not going to have to go to games or pack lunches. And so it's like being available right now is really the most important job that we all have. The community commitments and all the other stuff, it's just not as important. It'll be there in 18 years or in, however many years, your kids won't be there anymore.
I saw this meme. It was this mom kind of having like whiplash. And I know we're talking about working moms a lot because we all are working moms, but it was like working moms deciding what to do. And it was like, my kid needs this for school. I have this hobby. My friend needs me, blah, blah. And it's just like back and forth, back and forth. So I guess kind of like what advice do you guys have about balancing during the season? Because I know it's a season, I know it ends, but how do you get through it when you're in it?
Mm-hmm.
So I get a little crazy when people talk about work-life balance. There's no balance. I mean, come on. What kind of false reality are we trying to achieve here? And, I just think that having children, sacrificing selflessness as a believer is something I aspire to. Jesus didn't come to have like life-work balance, Nowhere was that in his terminology. So if I'm trying to be like Christ, what? I have one life to live. I want to give it all. Burn it up, sacrifice.
Burn it down.
Yeah. So there's so many studies on people who give more are happier. And parenting is short term. And so it's a season, you buy into it, and it's great fun, and it's crazy, and it's hectic. And, you just got to pray for more energy when you don't have it. And you got to pray for more sleep when you don't get it. And you got to pray for God to let you do without. God, just help me do without sleep if I'm not getting it. And it's okay in the end. Just go with it. Ride the roller coaster. It's a season. And then it's over, and you're not going to find balance. And if you're so caught up with the balance, you're just going to make yourself unhappy because you're not going to find it.
Well, I think that one of the dangers is if you do really, pour in and you're thinking about being available to your kids and you're doing all those things, and then they turn 18 and they move out and your role is different. All of a sudden you're like, well, I poured so much in that I don't know what I have left of myself.
Yeah.
Like, how do I know who I am? And I think that, what you said earlier, Susan, about the Mom I Am personality test, realizing, like, knowing what you're really good at and where you're gifted and what brings joy and life to your relationships, you will always be yourself as you're that mom. You don't lose yourself because you're always celebrating the things that come naturally to you. So it's not like you've lost any bit of yourself. You've just really refined this side of yourself.
And it's been interesting because I have several friends who did not work and several friends who did work and are now retired, actually. It's been so fascinating to me to see them using this time where their kids are grown and they have time to do great things in different ways, whether it's serving the elderly because they're just not the big powerful mom who's going to go volunteer, to the powerful mom being on boards now because she has time and has run so many things for other organizations that people said, hey, will you come serve on this board and get our act together, help us get our act together? So it's really, you're going to use your talents if you pray about it.
Okay. So A, accept your limitations. So we're not overcommitting or overextending ourselves. B, be available. Let your kids know they're a priority. And C, check yourself, or basically have self-awareness. And I think that this one I need because I can project how I feel and the values that I have for what, makes a good student. I project those onto my kids. Neither of my kids have ever gotten straight A's. And when I see other moms posting about their kids' grades, it really hits a nerve for me. And I can feel myself start to tense up. Like, we get this little alert from school saying behavior notice. And it's not necessarily behavior related. It might be that your child forgot to turn in an assignment or something, and we get that. And when that email comes to my email, I can feel my heart stop.
I would pant like that. Why does it say behavior alert? They need to rename that.
Is that like a thing with other schools too?
No, I think it's just the way that our system is set up. And they warned us at the beginning of the year. They said, listen, it's going to say behavior notice. It could be even a good thing. And the very first one that came was from the art teacher last year. And it was a wonderful compliment from my younger son. But of course, I was like, oh no.
They need to rename that. That's just
I know. I think it's an automated
Scary
thing. But yeah. But, so I know that as soon as I see that, all of a sudden a switch flips in me. And so if I can check, if I can check myself and step back and really think about what makes a well-rounded kid, and that my kids are that, and they're growing into that, I think that, I can relax a little bit. I think you just have to realize what you are bringing to this relationship with your kids.
Yeah, I agree. I think I was a lot more like you with my originals, the 3 biologicals. And then I really learned a lot more about parenting from adopting older children. And just, it's really more about the process. Mm-hmm. God has a plan for them in the end, but what they learn as they're going through it, especially in those mistakes that we just freak out about, is really the bigger story, and the relationships, because in the end, we are trying to create adults that will have healthy relationships with their spouse and their children and their friends. So yeah, the processes should be more of our focus instead of the results.
Yeah. And when you said check yourself, I think a really big thing that I've learned about myself is because I am such an extrovert and I'm so relational with people, and I'm kind of living in an area that I didn't grow up in. So I'm kind of trying to figure things out as I'm constantly seeing what other people are doing and second guessing my opinion and saying, am I making the wrong decision for my child? Should they be doing something else? Should they be going to a different school? Should they be friends with other people? Should, they be playing different sports, whatever it might be. And I've kind of had to take a step back and realize I know our family values and I know what we believe, and I know what I want my kids to believe and how how they're going to be raised and what kind of people they're going to be. But I need to stop second guessing my decisions based on the decisions other people have made for their kids and really just be firm in my decisions because we prayed about it and we feel like it's the right direction to go, even if it's not what everyone else is doing, and just go with it. And I've thought about this multiple times because I've been like stressing about schools and where to send them to school and everything like that because the public schools in our area are really not great. So there's some good private schools in the area, but we kind of were waffling back and forth. And we just felt very clearly called to go to this one school. And we don't know a whole lot of people there, but we felt like it was the right decision to do. And we were my husband and I were very much in agreement about it. But there were times that I was like, well, why is no one else doing this? Like, and so I've just had to check myself and be like, nope, this is what we've decided to do. And this is where we're going. We're not married to it. We can always change. Like that's the big thing with me too, is once I make up my mind, I feel like the decision is very final. And it's like, you're not married to anything but your spouse. Like you're not married to your school, to your church, to your, hopefully
don't say your job because I'm sitting right here.
Yeah. I mean, like hopefully you
Yes,
have
you
some
are.
commitment and loyalty to those things. But at the same time, like there isn't much that can't be changed if needed.
Yeah. And what works for one kid is going to work, be something different for another kid. Cause I ran into that with our decision to put James in daycare. I mean, I feel like God kind of let me go through that experience right before I had him because it just seemed like everywhere I was going, someone was making a comment about how bad they felt daycare was. Like I would be getting my hair highlighted and my hairstylist would be like, you're putting your kid in daycare? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like what's going on? And y'all, it's one of the best decisions I think we've made. I mean, I really feel like James daycare is his second home. Like the teachers are incredible. I mean, like I picked him up last week and his teacher like gave me a big hug and was like, we love you guys. Like it's a great extension of his, community and family, I feel. And I'm thankful that, God spoke clearly to us and we didn't listen to the opinions of others because it's the right decision for my son.
And your child only smiles every second of every day.
That's true.
Do you ever sometimes like James like loves school too? And sometimes I think, well, your James, I know loves school, but like sometimes I'm like, dang, they do a better job with him than I think I would do with him.
No, literally, like whenever I kept James home from daycare, like maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, because my friend was in town. I took a PTO day and I was like, oh, I'm going to keep him here so he can hang out with us. And y'all, he was so bored. He was like, get me out of here. I need to be in school. Like you can just tell like when they really like it, it's a huge blessing.
And then one last check, like for this letter C, one last check is to pay attention to your stress level throughout the year and how that impacts your kids. If you start the day like at a 10 before the kids are even up and the morning routine is crazy and you're driving to school yelling, that's a check you got to do, and check it and fix it, make these little tweaks. And we have a ton of resources on iMom to help you do that. Or the car ride on the way home. If the car ride is stressful and the second the kids get in the car, you're like, all right, what do you have for homework? And how did that test go? There's different ways to check your demeanor and like how you're parenting, how you're, presenting yourself to your kids that might be actually making their school year a little bit trickier.
Yeah. Attitudes are infectious. If you love your child's school, if you love their teachers, if you love school, period, they will. If your child gets homework and you open their backpack and you go, oh, your teacher drives me nuts. Well, you're just passing an attitude about their teacher onto them. And so really your attitude really sets the tone.
Yeah. So it's like the ABCs A of a good school year.
That's right.
I did not learn my ABCs apparently. All right. We've got some great resources in the show notes, including some good after school conversation starters and other fun printables. So make sure you check those out. And thank you for listening. Thanks for listening to the iMom podcast. iMom is the motherhood program of the nonprofit organization Family First. Along with our fatherhood program, All Pro Dad, we exist to help you love your family well. Subscribe to our daily email, the iMom Minute, by going to imom.com/subscribe and get tons of great ideas, insight, and inspiration. The iMom podcast is hosted by me, Abby Watts, along with Susan Merrill, Megan Tigner, and Chloe Blumenthal.